Welcome to the Butterfly Mindset Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Butterfly Mindset Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of having one of my very best friends from growing up.
It's true, a long time.
On the podcast today, Riley Hunt. Thanks so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm stoked, bro. So look, we always go through what are we going to talk about on this podcast, so on and so forth, and I always ask, is there anything off limits? And there's nothing off limits, so I'm going to ask you a really embarrassing question first. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
No, look, we're sitting in your in Elemental Wellness, in your newly found business. It's absolutely gorgeous. You have a cold plunge station, sauna. I mean, you have massage studios, everything. And I think that's really impressive. And a lot of people, I feel like, will see that, but not understand like where you came from.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get into the nitty gritty on like how you were able to get to where you're at now. So let's rewind all the way to, when we're younger. Like, talk to me about how you grew up.
I think with a lot of this, I can kind of stem this back to my grandmother. And she was, I think you kind of have remembered this a little bit. She was something called a creative healer.
Yeah.
And she did this process kind of similar to Reiki, where it was really hands-on, helped a couple friends of mine, get like reduced swelling in their knee or whatever. And would always do it to me. And so I was really hands-on, really connected to the body and really comfortable with it. And I think that kind of sparked my imagination of what I could do with the rest of my life.
Was it like from your grandma from when you were younger that you were like, oh, I want to be a chiropractor? Or was it like when did you decide that's what you wanted to do?
No, I don't think it was. I think she motivated me a lot, but I don't think it was necessarily just from that. I kind of had ups and downs with health issues growing up.
Yeah.
And I think what actually helped me, surprisingly, even for me now, was a chiropractor. And like I was on a lot of medication. Chiropractor helped me get off that. I was having issues playing soccer and playing baseball. Chiropractor helped me through that. And I think it just widened my perception of what a chiropractor can do. I don't do all those things now, but it just helped me, like motivated me to get to those spots. And so through that, it was a little bit lucky too. I mean, I didn't have the most amount of experience with it. I just kind of fell into the thought process of, hey, I could do this. This is something really interesting. And it's something I could kind of make into what I want it to be.
Yeah. But did you ever have any did you ever want to be anything else, or was there?
I always wanted to be something hands-on. I think that's also why it's like so interesting and fun. Like whether it was going to be, I don't know, I know this is like an older school, but like a carpenter, something that worked with like wood, or just something that like Legos were my favorite toys. So I always love to build something. Like just being hands-on. That's like also any of the subjects were like in school where I could be hands-on, whether it was just like art and actually doing something, or just always something that I can actually like do rather than kind of almost like less theory, less kind of memorizing, just kind of go out there and do it yourself. That's kind of what felt right. And I think that's why chiropractic has been so easy.
That makes sense. And then like going into from when you're younger, you're playing sports through high school. And I know a lot of your background, so I'm trying not to just give
divulge everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Playing sports through high school and everything. Then did you ever want to play in college? What was your...
I think I did. At some point in time, I wanted to play soccer in college. Soccer was obviously the sport we played a lot. If I had some of your inches, I think it would have helped. But height. And but with that, I think over time, I just kind of fell out of that thought process of wanting to further that.
Yeah.
It didn't make me like love soccer less or love being athletic, or
Yeah.
I think that also helped motivate me because it was less like time spent doing this. It was more time spent going to the gym, learning how to work out. And that also kind of snowballed into wanting to learn more about the body. And then that's kind of how I found out I wanted to be a kinesiology major in college. And so I think sports definitely motivated that because we always had to stay like fit, and running and exercising, and I liked that. So I wanted to keep doing that.
I think what's interesting is like for me, like I was always like the one that's like, well, like I don't really need to know it. If somebody else knows how to tell me what to do, then I'll do it. Where like I feel like you from a very, very early age was like, I want to learn why the body operates how it operates.
I don't know what that stems from. I just know I loved asking questions. I felt like incomplete if I didn't know. Even in soccer, it was like, if I didn't know exactly how to do the drill, I wasn't going to be good. I felt like I wasn't going to be good. So I think with like the body and getting into, like I said, like exercising and just being healthy and helping my own health, I think caused me to further my knowledge in that.
Yeah.
And so I think it just,
yeah, and you keep bringing up like, you know, help me with my health, my sickness, things like this. Like you've had a lot of ups and downs with your health.
Yeah.
Talk to me about like how that was getting to where you're at now from where you were. Yeah.
I mean, I have Crohn's disease, which is like inflammation of the small intestine.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so in college it was really bad. And I didn't really know about it until freshman year of college.
Yeah.
And so I was diagnosed that year. Went up and down, had bad anemia, couldn't even walk up a flight of stairs without getting a headache and wanting to pass out, or feeling like I was going to pass out. I know at one point in time, this is bad to say now, but I was supposed to get a blood transfusion, and I just figured I'd be fine, and I didn't. So as a health professional, I'm not going to do that anymore. But back then, that's how I thought. But with like the health and stuff.
I'm going to interject really quickly. When you're going through, when you first find out about this and you're going through all of this, like mentally, what was that like?
Mentally, that was different because I felt kind of alone in it, because it's hard to relate to anybody with this unless you have it. And I think like I've met maybe like 3 people that have had it, so it's been really cool in those instances. But especially at first, it just felt kind of lonely because I didn't know, it's not really like something that is you stick to this plan and you'll get better. It's like different for every single person that's going through it. So like my case was different too. And I think it didn't really like change until I took interest in myself on how I can make it change. And again, I think that stems to chiropractic eventually too.
That's interesting. So, and now I'll come back to where you were going. You were talking about how you were supposed to get a blood transfusion, and then like,
I didn't. I was like, I thought I mean, you sort of can do this. You can change your diet. You can do different things. But at that point, I was so bad I should have done it. But, you know, not letting it get to that point, especially now, I don't let it get to that point. I think it was a time where lack of knowledge made me kind of just unskilled, or like I just didn't know what to do. And so again, I just wanted to learn more about it. And so with my health, I learned more about Crohn's. And I think that's always been a part of wanting to make myself and others feel better. Yeah.
That's so interesting. It's also like very interesting because you deal with this and like someone looks at you, you're like fit, you look good, everything, you know. These are the only times I'll give you compliments.
I appreciate that.
But the thing is like you know, I talk about this on different podcasts, different episodes, but like I feel like there's a lot of times where people don't understand what we're going through by just looking at us.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's you're going through that, whether you're going through family stuff at home, whatever it is, like it's very easy to dismiss like just by looking up front.
Yeah.
Right. So I appreciate you sharing that. You went to
San Francisco.
San Francisco State, kinesiology.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you're like, okay, I want to become a chiropractor.
Sort of. After that, I was a soccer coach, a substitute teacher, a personal trainer, and I worked at Converse shoe store. Yeah. Didn't know what I wanted to do. So I think this part of my life, I was looking for something to do for the rest of my life. I think I got a little lucky with chiropractic. I think I always knew about it. I had the kinesiology background, but I think when it came from that moment to more this moment now, I was lucky. I mean, I could have hated it. I could have not liked it. Obviously, there's a certain point of like, you know, it's only going to be good if you make it good. Like if I was miserable with it, I would have been miserable with it. But still, I think
it's all perspective, right? Yeah.
I think like the first person I met that day going to chiropractic school was Jake, was my partner Jake. And so it was like, I just made friends and had a good time with it, learned one new thing every day, made sure that was like the main thing because school was hard. That was ridiculous. But yeah, I think in that time span from graduating San Francisco State to going to chiropractic school, it was a lot of just kind of having hope that I'd like it a lot.
What was the trigger that made you say, I'm going to go to chiropractic school and go through that?
I think there was someone that I was working with at one of the gyms where they like had a friend that was a chiropractor, and they're like, you got to go meet him. You got to go meet him. You got to go meet him. And I think I talked to him once. And he was just really nice, really down to earth, definitely different than what I thought a normal chiropractor was. Wasn't like quirky or like a whatever quack, whatever you think a chiropractor can be. He was just normal and smart. And I was like, this is really cool. He did what he wanted to do. He was more of a sports med chiropractor. And I think that just drew an interest. And then I went and visited a school, didn't like it. And then I went and visited the other school and loved it.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me because like I see this happen over and over again with different people where like you see someone that you can relate to that it feels like, okay, yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's like sometimes the trigger to basically say, okay, hey, I'm going to make this leap, right? Because it's scary if you don't know, especially like if you don't know anybody that like you relate to in that position, or like that you want to be like, you know what I mean?
You can't visualize it.
You can't visualize it 100%. That's why I always say visualize, map it out, execute.
Yeah,
you know?
I remember those.
So now you visualize it. You got into chiropractic school, and then obviously it was the easiest thing. You became a chiropractor, and then you opened up a spot.
Yeah, flew right through those 4 years. Easiest thing. No, chiropractic school is very difficult. And like I said before, like I met friends there and the friends I had, like, I mean, you and Ryan and Mark, like, and Lindsay, the friends I had outside of it and inside of it were the only reasons I got through chiropractic school, the support I had, because I went through different things with my health. And like at one point I was in the hospital for a few days right before tests, and I was like, I can't stay in the hospital. I got to go take the test. And there were ups and downs in school, but they make it difficult so you can be successful.
I'm curious on like, what do you think that determination was from? Like going and saying, hey, you know what, like, because easily you can let the quit in that moment. Yeah. Like easily you could say, you know what, it's hard, I'm sick, I'm just gonna take a break from it. Like what was the determination to not stop?
I think it stems from a lot of different things. I think one could be my parents. I've always seen my parents it's always been through sports and everything like that. Like they've never shown themselves like stop or surrender, whatever you want to call it, in a situation. So it's like, just that type of parenting has helped me in that sense too. But I also think just wanting it enough, I don't really know where that came from exactly. I mean, if we talk about it enough, we'll probably get there.
Yeah.
But I think just kind of getting to a point where it was really interesting, I was really motivated, and the motivation was kind of stemming from what the future held, and it was really exciting. And I think up to that point, nothing had been that exciting.
Yeah.
Not like anything wasn't exciting, but like for the future, like even going to undergrad, that was like, all right, let's get through this and I'm done with this. Like, that was a final part where it was like, this is something I can see myself doing. I want to get to it. And there were times in school where it didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But once you got to the hands-on point, I was ready.
It's so interesting because this is like, this concept of this visualization is like, I always talk about, like, you gotta be like to the point of almost believing that you are predicting the future.
Yeah.
Like, that's how deep your visualization has to go for you to really truly believe that it's gonna happen, because when you do that, that's that where you're like, it's tangible.
Yeah.
It's that, like, I can almost feel it. It's right there. I gotta keep going because I'm really excited about this future that I'm building.
100%.
I love that. Okay, and then, so you went through, you passed your exams, you got through it, and then right when you graduated, you opened this spot up.
Jump straight to it.
It's just so easy.
It's so easy. Anyone could do it. Business is easy. I'm sure you know. You should try it. Everyone can do it. It's really easy.
So you like talk to me about like what because now you're here. You're in an amazing spot.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, your office is gorgeous. You're in a high traffic area. I mean, like, you couldn't really ask for more for your own practice.
It's true.
But no one again sees the background, what I've heard already.
Yeah.
Where these walls were painted by you.
Yeah. It was so much fun. I had a great time. I'll paint one wall in your house if you need me to, and that's it. But
that's more walls than I'll paint in my own house.
But no, it was, I mean, I worked at a different place before this.
Yep.
And I'll credit so much to that, because the ups, the downs, the ins and outs, I wouldn't have known how to do any of what I'm doing now if it wasn't for that. And like, maybe it wasn't the right fit, but that's how you learn too. So like, it wasn't ever negative. It was always just like, I'm constantly learning.
Yeah.
Like, whether it was something I wanted to do or didn't want to do, I'm constantly learning, because at that point, eventually I was like, all right, I'm going to take this to where I want to take this. And that's opening a practice and having good partnerships. That's important. And building the place you want it and the way you want it to look like, that's important, because, you know, you want to come to work every day.
100%.
I know that's always difficult, but you want to at least make it so that's possible.
Yeah.
And I think by creating this place to like our standards and what we want, and kind of making it difficult than just like, or different than like a sterile doctor's office, kind of a little more homey, that's made it really easy to come to work every day.
Yeah.
And exciting.
I love that. And I think something that like you've done that I've noticed that was very impressive. I'm like ultra entrepreneur, right? Like, I'm like, I just could never work for anybody. I don't care. Like, I just am like this like, I have to go this way, you know? I'll fall a million times
since the beginning,
right? Yeah. But I remember having conversations with you early on, like, dude, why don't you just do your own thing, blah, blah, blah. And you've always said like, no, I want to learn from someone that I can get some experience to be able to go and build. And that's what you've done with multiple people.
Yeah.
Which is like, I think what makes you so good at what you do, because you realize like, hey, like, slow down before I speed up.
Yeah. Like,
let me go get the knowledge from the people that I want to and continue learning that before I go and open up my own practice, which I always thought was so impressive, because that's just not a trait that like I have in me, you know, like I try to, you know, I try to practice that, like, but
that's all that we can ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like for you, like, I think that you did that very well, where you went to a top tier place to learn from the best, to be able to go into and learn, and that taught you what you really liked and what you really didn't like, right? And then you've been able to mold, all of these different teachings into what is now your practice.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your practice. Talk to me about Elemental.
Yeah. So it stemmed, I think we were I forget what it was. It might have been like my birthday or something, where Jake and Haley, my two friends and chiropractors, were over at the house, and they're like, we both weren't happy with where we were at, and we're like, we should open our own practice. And this was probably March. Yeah. And we didn't know. We were just messing around. And then I forget what the tipping point was, but then we were just like, all right, let's actually do this. Did this, started. We found this place earlier than we were expecting. This used to be a gym, and they were working out here. And because they were working out here, they heard it was going to be up for lease before it was actually on the market.
Oh, wow.
And it was a perfect spot. It was decent price. It was good size. And so we were like, we got to jump on this, but we're not ready necessarily, but we got to jump on this. And so we jumped on it, and it was probably, for all of us, it was 6 months too early.
Yeah.
There's never a good time. You just got to go with whatever's happening at the time. And we started doing it. We took forever to get permits. I mean, it took I don't know, longer than I wanted it to. Yeah. But it was 6 months or something more than we expected to get permits. And then the construction took a little bit longer than we expected to also. But as anything we could do here, our own, we did. So like you said, we painted the walls, we did the ceiling tiles. Yeah. Any sort of thing that we built or had to hang. We laid the rubber flooring in the PT area.
Wait, you did?
Yeah, that was
yeah.
That was the worst. So you have to cut it with a knife, and Jake and I were on our hands and knees with an actual ceiling tile underneath, so we wouldn't cut the floor, cutting the rubber, trying to lay it down. That was frustrating, but I'm glad it's done now. But yeah, we put the rocks and wood in the cold plunge area. We did everything we possibly could just to make things work.
I love that.
Yeah.
And what's the goal? What's the goal? What's the future? What do you see?
1 year plan. We want to have this place running, successful and fun. We want to, have the massage therapists, have all three of us chiropractors, have Pilates, have just this place being successful and a great environment, and kind of what it feels like, but just a little bit busier.
Yeah.
3 to 5 year plan. We would love to expand. We want to be into elemental fitness, elemental health, elemental anything. We just want to be a little bit more of a integrative effort in health, fitness, mental health.
Yeah.
Anything we can. And we'd love to do that in the South Bay.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've got 2 more questions for you.
Okay. I can answer 2 more questions.
All right, perfect. The first question is, where can people connect with you?
Yes. We have our social media, which is Elemental South Bay. Instagram, Facebook page, TikTok might come soon. We have to work that out. Maybe we'll talk to Lindsay about that. Our website's elementalsouthbay.com. And then phone, just call us. I mean, chiropractic has always been such a word of mouth thing.
Yeah. And
I know it's tough when you want to, I always find it tough with a new health professional looking for someone like that. If I want to look for a dentist, chiropractor, even doctor, medical doctor, you could look on Yelp and Google, and that helps some people, but you always want someone to say hey, this person's good. And if you were to refer me to a friend, that carries so much more weight than anything else. So I know that takes time, but that's also the last form of contact we want to have. We want to be in the community enough so that people can actually recognize our name, not have to Google it, and just be they're a reputable source.
Love that. Now, how do they connect with, what's your Instagram?
My Instagram's Doc Hunt Chiro.
How do you spell it?
doc.hunt.chiro.
Just in case they want to connect with you.
Just in case. Yeah,
They might see you on the video and be like, wow,
that's fair. He's 6'8". Yeah. That's fair.
And then my last question for you is, somebody is dealing with health challenges. They have a big goal. They're studying for whatever that big goal is, and they're not sure if they should keep going or they should take a pause. What piece of advice would you give them?
I always, for anything I'm going to say, listen to your body, because it knows the best. Like, I mean, I think you can navigate around different ways to like keep moving and stop and different things, but your body's going to know. Like, if you can push forward and work around that, that's going to be okay. But the biggest thing aside from that is having a support system. And if there's people out there, even if they don't really connect to what you're going through, that can support you, that's the biggest thing. Because you can try to get through different places, but it's just not going to feel the same when you get to those places if you don't have a support system around you.
I love that. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing today,
Thanks
bro.
for being part of my support system.
Love you.